Story 1. I believe the idea of soulmates is like finding that one puzzle piece that clicks perfectly. It's a beautiful thought to know someone out there might be your perfect match. However, I also believe that love grows with effort, patience, and shared laughter. Perhaps soulmates aren't just found, they're made, too. What do you think? Story 2. Not in the sense of fated soulmates. I believe certain people have souls that simply connect with one another, but it's not some divine occurrence. Story 3. I do not view soulmates as a singular perfect person destined for each of us, but rather as those rare individuals who enter our lives and feel like home from the very beginning. It might be chemistry, timing, shared values, or something beyond explanation, but the connection is real and deeply meaningful. To me, soulmates are individuals who truly resonate with us, not because they are the one, but because they make something within us feel seen, understood, and somehow complete. Story 4. I believe in soulmates, but I don't think we have only one soulmate. Some people find a soulmate and it works out for life, while others may have multiple soulmates, not always in a romantic sense. A friend can also be a soulmate. Story 5. I believe that some people are uniquely compatible with one another, but that is only one piece of the puzzle for a good relationship. You can have a satisfying and rewarding relationship with someone with whom you are not very compatible, as long as you communicate and work actively toward each other's mutual benefit. Story 6. No, because I think people are responsible for how their relationships develop, not fate. The concept of soulmates, in my opinion, does not align with personal and interpersonal growth in a relationship. A stable and happy relationship requires continuous effort, and claiming that you must have a soulmate somewhere is akin to wearing rose-tinted glasses. Story 7. I absolutely love my husband and can't imagine being married to anyone else. I truly believe we're a match made in heaven. That being said, neither of us is perfect, and we do get on each other's nerves sometimes. While great matches are possible, it is extraordinarily unlikely to find one absolute perfect match. Story 8. I don't believe soulmates are solely romantic. I think soulmates are anyone who speaks to and connects with your soul. I believe family, friends, and even animals can be soulmates. People and animals leave a permanent imprint on your soul, whether they remain in your life long-term or not. Story 9. No, when you view it as a tool of manipulation against you, it shatters any belief in it. Story 10. I think it is a lovely thought, but it can also be somewhat scary. It would be worrisome to think there is only one person out there for you. What if you choose wrong? What if you never find them? Realistically, some people will get along better than others, but as long as work and effort are put in, you could probably make it work with most people. Story 11. Technically and logically, no, because it seems unreasonable. However, on an emotional level, I do believe this is true. I feel like I have met my soulmate, and it seems the universe ensured that we encountered each other multiple times until we understood our connection. Story 12. I believe there are people out there who are meant for you. Their life experiences and personality perfectly complement yours. At 47, I didn't believe in the concept of true love. I had a few long-term relationships and 2 children with a woman I was with for 15 years. I assumed that relationships were work, a process to learn to love each other more, but there was nothing innate about it. At 47, I met a girl and we have been best friends since the moment we met. That first night felt like a door opened in my heart that I didn't know existed. It's been 3 years, and we are getting married in August. There has been no effort because I want to do things to help her. That's not work to me. That's true love. Everything is natural, easy, fun, and loving. We mesh perfectly and everyone around us sees it. I realize that most people go through life never experiencing this, and we are lucky to have crossed paths. I'm not sure about the soulmate concept, but I do know there is someone out there who can make you feel the way I do. It's just a matter of finding them, which can be nearly impossible. Story 13. I have been married for 32 years and have friends who have been married for a similar duration or slightly less. We still want to know what a soulmate is. Story 14. I believe in soulmates. However, I think we have more than one soulmate. There is the romantic soulmate where you just know they are the one. They match up with you in a way that never worked with anyone else. This doesn't mean it is perfect all the time, and there will be conflicts, but there are things that make sense with this person that never did with anyone else. I also believe in platonic soulmates. They are the person with whom the friendship sparks, and you instantly click. They help you reach the point where you need to be, whether they are in your life forever or not, and that is okay. Story 15. When discussing the typical cliché of fated lovers who are seemingly bound by soul and destined to fall in love, I would disagree. Relationships require effort and time. I believe the true meaning of soulmate is established when you share a deep bond with someone, allowing for a close spiritual connection. Love at first sight is not genuine, in my opinion. Story 16. I believe that every now and then, two people find each other who are completely compatible in every way. Both individuals are strongly attracted to one another, desire the same things, and prioritize their partner's happiness over their own, often making sacrifices for it. These relationships are what some people refer to as soulmates. However, it is not a magical phenomenon, and not everyone has a soulmate. Some people simply get lucky. Story 17. No, because I don't believe in souls. The term soulmate is simply a way to describe a feeling that people have struggled to define for thousands of years. Story 18. I won't say I believe in it, but I've thought about it and I have a 50-50 disposition. It feels good to know that someone is out there just for you. In my mind, it's all fated. But then there's the butterfly effect. It gets contradictory because things happen because you took a certain path. Despite that, I hope for having one more than anything. Story 19. No, but you can have a deep connection with someone straight away. But what does that have to do with souls? Story 20. At times in your life, yes, but then values change. That is what I discovered, or maybe I overlooked something earlier because I needed to believe. Story 21. Yes, there is something special about laughing together with someone, and when they smile, it lights up your world in a unique way. I have met two women with whom I have felt that connection. Neither of them is my ex-wife. That said, all relationships require effort, and you need to believe in yourself just as much as they believe in you. Finding someone like that can be very overwhelming, and the connection can short-circuit my brain. Story 22. Yes and no. The idealized romantic notion of a preordained soulmate? Now, relationships require effort, dedication, and a consistent willingness to work together, change, and adapt to the passage of time and evolving values. Ultimately, a couple consists of two unique and distinct individuals who will change in different ways, even in the same environment. However, if you find someone who is willing and able to embark on that crazy and fascinating journey together, what better way to describe them than as a soulmate? Story 23. The word is somewhat awkward. I believe that two people can be incredibly fortunate and meet someone who is highly compatible. However, it is not predetermined in any way. I do not believe in souls or spirits, or that people are destined to be together in a literal sense. I love my wife deeply, and we are best friends. I feel very lucky to have met her. However, I do not think we met because it was destined to happen. Realistically, there are probably thousands of other people who would suit us just as well if we had not met. Story 24. You can make someone your soulmate through mutual effort and shared experiences. Some people are easier to connect with than others. I believe the concept of the soulmate was developed by writers after the Romantic period, who sought to add more meaning to life. Story 25. I believe in fate and that everything happens for a reason. Some people are fortunate in finding someone with whom they connect on multiple levels. They share good chemistry, interests, and beliefs, making it easy to get along. Being around them feels natural and comfortable. They likely have similar upbringings and socioeconomic backgrounds. It almost feels like you've known the person your entire life, even if your time together has been short. You understand each other and often share the same thoughts at the same moment. Your relationship develops effortlessly, as if the universe planned it. It is not forced. I have experienced this phenomenon. Story 26. I believe some people can have an effortless connection that is easier to build upon, but I do not believe in soulmates. Story 27. Yes, but it's not as simple as saying that soulmates fall in love and live happily ever after. I truly believe my boyfriend is my soulmate. We were best friends for 11 years before we decided to date. We have both put a lot of work into the relationship, but I know in my heart that I will never encounter someone who understands me as well as he always has. In fact, he admitted to having feelings for me early in our friendship, and I turned him down. It wasn't until a decade later that I realized how deeply he has always understood me. Even in other relationships, I never felt heard or understood the way he has always understood me. It took me that long to realize there will never be someone like him. Story 28. We are all energy. Energy is energy. I believe relationships require work, effort, and compatibility. Story 29. No, there are 8 billion people on the planet. It's unrealistic to think there is only one person you are meant to be with. If this were true, why do more than 50% of marriages end in divorce? Story 30. Yes, I believe there are certainly people made for each other, but they are not unique. It is not only about your partner, but also your friends. I used to have a friend in middle school with whom I felt a special connection. I wasn't even in the same class as him, but I would occasionally see him in the yard and think he reminded me so much of myself. One day, while sitting in the yard, I suddenly saw him sitting next to me alone. We looked at each other and he asked if I played Clash of Clans. Turned out we were both playing it. I still can't believe how quickly we became close friends. From that day until I graduated from middle school, I was literally with him every single day, which made all our classmates laugh at us for always being together. I saw him again a while ago on the street, and I almost started crying. My reaction was truly emotional. Story 31. A soulmate is absolutely real, and there is more than one for you. It is not a rigid idea that there is one person out there perfect for you while everyone else is not a match. That is nonsense. You will not find your soulmate early in a relationship. There is too much effort and work required to truly know for sure. It is about being able to stick around and recognize if there is growth happening during the hard times that you start to recognize your soulmate. The only rule is you do not cheat. It is such a deep topic that there is a psychological specialty dedicated to it. There is so much to say about it. I found my soulmate, and I know in my heart that if she were to die, I would too, because I could not bear the loss of my wife, especially if it comes from old age. Story 32. Yes, but it still requires work and effort to make it successful. Your soulmate may not be interested in you for various reasons, and you may have to wait until a future opportunity for a new connection. People do have free will. Story 33. No, soulmates undermine the actual state of what a relationship should be, each partner working 100% for the other. Story 34. I don't believe in soulmates. I think we make relationships work or we don't. You can make it work with anyone. It's just a matter of what you're willing to compromise or give up. Story 35. Everyone you interact with is a soulmate. They are not limited to a few people. That is called a twin flame. Story 36. I believe finding your soulmate is like discovering a new color. It is impossible to explain to someone else how it appears until they experience it for themselves. I am convinced that soulmates exist, and being fortunate enough to find one will leave a lasting impact on your soul, as there is no going back from that experience. The best way I can describe it is as if your heart has an additional chamber, with your soulmate being the one who opened it, even though their name was already written on it. For those who do not believe in soulmates, I think they simply have not found theirs yet, and I believe that few ever do. Story 37. I see it this way. Some people are born with natural talent, but to become a professional, they still have to put in a lot of effort. I believe some couples are like that. They naturally connect, and the chemistry is present, making it feel effortless. However, if you do not invest the necessary work, it will not endure. Story 38. I believe we encounter soulmate connections throughout life. They do not have to be romantic relationships. They can be anyone. Story 39. If the current structure of economics, work, bills, taxes, and politics were not in place, then the idea of a soulmate would definitely be viable. Story 40. It depends on your definition. I believe certain souls encounter each other repeatedly as they go through their various cycles. However, I don't believe there is just one right person for everyone. Story 41. In the sense that soulmates are not only romantic, yes. There are some people you connect with as if you belong together, and it can be completely platonic. Story 42. Yes and no. Yes, when you're in love, you feel like you've met your soulmate and it feels true for a while. No, because it is extremely rare for love to be forever or lifelong. Story 43. Love is built, not destined. When you love someone, you choose them repeatedly, not because the universe ordained it. I can empathize with the romantic notion of a soulmate, but in reality, you are with someone because you are compatible, committed, and willing to grow together. I believe the concept of soulmates can lead to dangerous outcomes, such as a loss of autonomy or a diminished sense of individuality. Story 44. Any two people can find love if they are willing to compromise on their differences and foster common interests. Most people just are not willing to do that. Story 45. No, I don't really understand what the concept is supposed to be. There is just one random person somewhere in the world with whom you are perfectly compatible, and you are supposed to search through billions of people to hope you find that one specific person? Story 46. Yes and no. Some people are meant to be with someone while others have free choice. Each person is beautiful in their own way. If a relationship is meant to be, it is beautiful because it is ordained by God. If it is through free will, it is still beautiful. Imagine telling someone, I don't think I was meant to be with anyone specific. I could be with anyone right now, but there's no one else I'd rather be with than you. I believe this because I have faith in God and the Bible, and this concept seems biblical based on what I've read. Story 47. No, it is a very small fraction of the population, but there are many people that you could truly love deeply. Story 48. I don't believe that with so many people on earth, anyone has a perfect match for their soul. However, I believe there are people who can connect and flow with you more easily than others. With effort and dedication, living your life with one of those individuals can be a grand and glorious experience. Story 49. I believe in compatibility. The idea that there is one perfect soul out there meant for you seems strange to me. Story 50. If we are discussing a spiritual or supernatural connection, then no. However, in the sense that certain people resonate with one another, absolutely. Story 51. It depends on your definition of soulmate. If you go by what most dictionaries state, it does not imply the one and only in the entire history and future of the universe. I believe in soulmates because it means a person with whom you share values, tastes, and a romantic bond. A person ideally suited to another as a close friend or romantic partner. I also believe we can have multiple soulmates. By the definitions in the English language, it is a real thing that exists. Story 52. Yes, there is something endearing about having faith that there is someone who was put on this planet just for you. People often discuss love in a trivial manner nowadays, but having even a small glimmer of hope that there is a person out there who fits into your life like a well-designed puzzle piece is an idea worth believing in. Story 53. Yes, but find that person when they are young. Before you start working, you will be busy. After that, it's often women with children, and history tends to repeat itself with leftover issues. Additionally, there is the hookup culture, which means there is often no wife or girlfriend involved. Story 54. No, I believe in tolerance at a young age and in building patterns that will help you get along with that person. Story 55. Statistically, if humanity survives into the future and ventures off-world, the soulmates of every human who has ever lived have not been born yet. Story 56. Based on the commonly known definition, I would say neither. Human relationships are dynamic. At some point, change will come. Ask those who have split after 10 or more years of being together. They can still believe after all that and find nothing similar in real life. It is not a fruitful belief to hold on to. Ask whether I believe in giving non-judgmental support. Definitely yes. Story 57. No, I think you have to choose to make things work with someone. I can think of many instances where people claim to be soulmates, but their relationship is actually very toxic. I believe that the belief in soulmates is one reason why some individuals stay in toxic or abusive relationships. There are many people you could love, who could love you, and make things work. I don't understand why someone would stick around for a person who doesn't love you as you deserve, simply because you are convinced they are your soulmate. There have likely been good people in the past, and there will be better people after you leave the negative situation. Story 58. I used to wholeheartedly believe in soulmates, but after ending a long-term relationship and engagement with the person I thought was the one, my perspective changed. As previous commenters said, it's a lovely idea, but relationships require more than just love. You may love someone with all your heart, but that doesn't necessarily guarantee your relationship will work out perfectly. I met the current person I'm dating just one day after being on dating apps. I matched with him on a Wednesday afternoon and planned a date for Saturday. We talked and video chatted nonstop the next day, and by the end of our workdays, we both knew that we wanted to hang out immediately and spent the night and the next morning together. We moved fast, which is very uncommon for both of us as introverts, but from the moment we met, everything felt effortless and seamless. It's kind of crazy. We're on the same wavelength and vibe together so well that we often finish each other's sentences. If either of us is thinking about something internally, the other person will say the exact same thing or something similar right after. I honestly don't know how to explain it or how I got incredibly lucky to find him, but after being in a stagnant and unfulfilling relationship, you will immediately know when you've met your person. Even if it takes time, trust me, it's worth it. Story 59. No, I do not believe. Why not? Truly, finding a person so connected to you as a soulmate is rare. The odds are very slim that you will ever run into them. People who think they have found that one soulmate could have met a wide variety of people who would qualify for them. Story 60. I believe in soulmates, and I say this as a man who isn't particularly spiritual or religious. It's all happenstance, but having loved, lost, and loved again, I think there's a clear distinction between a soulmate and a life partner. To me, a soulmate isn't this fated, mythical connection. It comes down to finding a closely aligned match in a playful relationship. Your passions and interests excite one another, and your matching or contrasting sense of humor creates an easy backdrop for conversation and mutual enjoyment. You can tell when they're happy and when they're hurting. They are your truest friend and the brightest light in what can feel like a cold, dark world. They are also the first person you see when someone is acting strangely in a room. In a way, they reflect a part of yourself, but with their own differences. While soulmates can grow to become great life partners, I believe they are entirely different entities. A life partner is the practical side of a bond, encompassing finances, parenting, morals, ambitions, errands, and support. In my experience, my soulmate was not the best life partner for me, nor I for them. I've dated a few people who I would consider exceptional life partners, but they were nowhere near the same wavelength as my soulmate. Therefore, my search continues, but I absolutely believe in the concept of soulmates. Story 61. I don't believe in soulmates. Nowadays, online dating is the main way to meet people, and since you set your distance preferences to perhaps a 30 to 40 mile radius, do you really think you will find your soulmate within that range when there are around 8 billion people on the planet? Relationships require hard work and effort. You meet someone, and then you decide if you can tolerate them forever. Story 62. No, I don't. However, I believe that certain people can connect personality-wise and fit well together. Story 63. Absolutely not. People can deeply bond and love each other and be completely compatible, but the idea that this can only happen with one other person whom you happen to have met is silly to me. Story 64. Not anymore. It was just delusion and being groomed. I fell for the same mistakes again. I once believed it, though. I've always dreamed of a love that could conquer it all. A safe, comforting love, being in one another's company, while the rest of the world fades into the distance and two souls are intertwined. But I woke up to realize I choose unhealthy partners because I have been unguarded and lack self-esteem and boundaries. I've discovered how vulnerable I am, no matter how tough my exterior is, and I'm not ready to be in a relationship again. This time, my soulmate is myself, and the love I'm pouring into myself is more important than these boys who act like men. It's a great feeling to find myself again, and my old self isn't even very present anymore. Something has awakened in me, and I carry the courage to live in this world alone. I will find my own happiness within myself. No more controlling or abusive partners. I'm done being a victim. I'm reclaiming my power every small step at a time. Story 65. I am convinced that my soulmate was my bunny, whom I lost in 2021. My partner doesn't mind, he loved him too. Story 66. I do to an extent, and it goes beyond intimacy. There are certain people you just connect with in a special way. My wife is one of those, but so is a close friend I write music with. We share that connection. He is my creative soulmate, and she is my intimate soulmate. Story 67. I used to believe in this idea. I now think that soulmates are a harmful myth that keeps people trapped in unhealthy relationships while waiting for the perfect resolution. Story 68. If you believe there is only one person meant for you, then I would disagree. The concept of soulmate seems more like a fantasy. Humans are skilled at creating myths and legends. The experience of falling in love likely contributes to this idea. Story 69. No, billions of people in the world have traits that many others share, including the person you think is your soulmate. Just like your parents met by chance. For example, if your mom had been 1 second late to meet your dad and someone else had passed by, then that person could have been your mom. It's happenstance, nothing more. However, discussing this idea can be uncomfortable, which is why the concept of soulmate love is popular in Disney stories. Story 70. We are all each other's soulmates. Every dynamic is different. I have encountered many soulmates, or people who have helped me heal or grow in deep and profound ways, offered comfort or kindness, or changed my life unexpectedly. I did not marry or sleep with some of my most profound soulmates. I believe that romantic love is based on friendship and trustworthiness, not fantasy or escapism. One must be able to trust the day-to-day reliability of the partnership and face the realistic logistics of life. A solid friendship is essential. You need to show that you can get along, have a stable connection, and share a good sense of humor along the way. You also need to trust that the other person will be there to support you when you are at your most vulnerable. I have had a few partners leave me over financial differences. I do not have the kind of money they wanted in a long-term partner. It hurt when it happened, and I felt bitter, but realistically, staying together and fighting about money would have made both of us miserable. Whether we like it or not, money matters, especially these days. I have made peace with those losses because they honored themselves and did not lead me into further misery. Nobody wants to be in a relationship where they feel inadequate or are not getting what they need. Let people be who they are and pursue what they need. It does not mean you were not soulmates. You are just not life partners. Story 71. No, I do not believe there is any magic that happens between two people. Relationships require hard work. Look at how many fail. Many people spend their lives searching for that magical feeling. After the initial excitement of a new relationship fades, and it always fades, that is when the real work begins, and that is when many people give up. Story 72. I do not believe in soulmates. People continuously grow throughout their lives. A true soulmate will need to grow with them for the relationship to be successful. Story 73. I don't know why, but at times I feel like the stars align and timing is lucky. Maybe some things are meant to be. I felt that way with someone, and even though we are still close, it seems that life has gotten in the way. I believe our friendship has grown, but it isn't as exciting now, partly because external factors interfere significantly. Story 74. I think some people have compatible personalities or a high awareness of what the other person needs. I'm not putting a label on it, but I don't mind others doing so. In most cases, you get into disagreements and resolve them through communication, effort, and compromises. Story 75. It's possible to find someone whose frequency aligns with you, and that's great. However, soul mates do not exist. At some point, you have to commit to something and make it work. Story 76. I believe it for others since my friends and family have them. I suppose I will believe it for myself when I find one. Story 77. Not really, but it is a fact that you will come across people with whom you feel extremely compatible. What often happens is that those people are already involved with someone. That has certainly been the case in my life. Story 78. No. Even though I have been married for 32 years, I don't believe there is only one perfect person out there for me among 9 billion. However, the fact that I'm too set in my ways to ever consider dating again if he dies probably means that he was the one. Story 79. I like the idea of soulmates, but I do not think they exist. I don't believe that there are two people born on this earth who are perfect for each other. This concept undermines the idea of personal growth and suggests that there is someone out there with whom you can effortlessly live. I believe everyone falls out of love, and genuine love can only happen when both people decide to put in the effort to stay, work together, and consider each other's needs. The idea of a soulmate dismisses this reality, even though it is lovely to think about. Story 80. No, we don't have souls, so it's impossible for something like a soulmate to exist. Everything you are as a person is shaped by your experiences and the influences you encounter as you grow up. People's experiences with love and affection of various types are simply our brains reacting to stimuli. This is actually well known in science. Many people just don't want to acknowledge it, as it takes away some of the mystery of life. At one point, I was madly in love and was sure she was the one. She wasn't, of course. I have also had friends, colleagues, and girlfriends who have talked about their companions or former companions being their soulmates, but when they are no longer together, that person is often referred to as that idiot. Story 81. I met someone who felt like my soulmate. She died a horrific death. 6 years later, after a few failed relationships, I met and married someone who connected with me even more deeply. You don't only have one special person. You have a type of person who works best for you. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.